Bitcoin will go up forever. There are sometimes drops along the road, but over the long term, if you just dollar cost average, you buy a little bit every day, and you should be fine long term. Is that true though? This is the Bitcoin Strategy channel, and of course I am somewhat biased, but I still want to always look at the contrarian side. What could potentially also in the long term look bad for Bitcoin? Let's have a look at the on-chain data, at the data directly on the blockchain, and let's have a look at how is adoption actually developing. What we've got over here is a very long-term chart starting in 2009 for the number of transactions on the Bitcoin network. And yes, this is one of the healthier charts. This just had an all-time high recently. And again, even though there are bumps in the road, this looks good. This here doesn't look as good though. This is the number of active addresses, and this seems to be stagnating to a degree. What's going on here? How is it possible that the number of transactions continue to grow, but the number of active addresses isn't growing? What this in return means is that the people that are active in Bitcoin, they are using the Bitcoin blockchain more, but maybe the number of participants in the network is not growing. So that's an interesting contrast. Number of addresses, number of transactions. Number of addresses, number of transactions. Here's something that looks even worse. This chart doesn't reach as far in the past, but still, this is the on-chain volume of Bitcoin. How much dollar value is being transacted in Bitcoin every month. And of course, there are fluctuations because Bitcoin goes up and down in price. And since the growth is exponential and this chart here is not logarithmic, we see that the initial peak here in 2017 is way smaller than the peak in 2021. Again, this is dollars, this is measured in trillion, and this is a monthly chart. Isn't it interesting how volatile this actually is? Bitcoin's price topped out between 60 and 70K in 2021. Now we are pretty much halfway there, right? We are a bit above half. The on-chain volume on Bitcoin, though, is not half of its peak. It's much less than that. So what this means is that the price recovery of Bitcoin happened despite not as much activity on-chain. The number of Bitcoin that's being moved every month is going down. This video is sponsored by the premium membership. I never take any money from any crypto project. I never take any affiliate links from centralized exchanges. I never pump and dump coins. Instead, I offer valuable tutorials in the premium membership. Feel free to check it out. Now, how can we explain this? How can the price recover so much while the usage of the chain isn't going up as quickly? I think this has to do with liquidity. When Bitcoin is not in a heated, massive bull run, then the purchase transactions are usually by the people that dollar cost average in, that buy every month by the existing users. And those purchases dry up the supply of Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin in that case is not used as a payments vehicle, it's used as a vehicle to store value, to escape inflation, to escape monetary expansion. And so maybe on-chain volume is not a measure of usage, it's a measure of how much speculation there is on-chain. Because one central use case for Bitcoin is not sending it for payment, it's for storing wealth. Now here's something very annoying about the Bitcoin blockchain, and that's its scalability without any layer 2 solutions. This is Bitcoin's miner revenue. And to one degree, this could be good because miners, again, get quite a bit of money. And we need the miners to secure the blockchain, of course, to avoid double spending, etc. But on the flip side, this also means that the average transaction fee is going up. This is a 7-day moving average. Whenever there is a lot of hype around Bitcoin, this tends to be very high. Just to send one Bitcoin can cost $40. Interesting how those peaks align quite a lot, also in magnitude. This is coming up again, but for a different reason. The first two peaks simply happened because of speculation. People moved their Bitcoin from and to centralized exchanges. The last increase in Bitcoin transaction fees is due to new use cases. Bitcoin is now also used for NFT-like inscriptions on the blockchain. Now, I'm not sure what I should really think about this because it does make Bitcoin harder to use as a store of value again. Because once you want to dollar cost average in or dollar cost average out, you have to pay way higher fees. Thus, your transaction size needs to have a certain minimum to make this worthwhile, right? If you buy Bitcoin and you have to pay $40 just in transaction fees, then making a DCA for just $100 makes 0 sense. You have to go at least $1,000, maybe $2,000. So seeing the average transaction fees climbing again is bad. It excludes quite a lot of people in buying Bitcoin. They can only buy Bitcoin either via centralized exchanges or via scaling solutions such as Lightning. Have a look at this chart. This can also only be calculated with on-chain metrics. We can never see this in traditional finance for a stock or for a portfolio of stocks or for precious metals or for bonds. We can only calculate this for crypto. What percentage of Bitcoin supply is currently in profit? And when this is high, this can be a dangerous time. This can be pretty heated. We can stay there for a while, but the real buying opportunities are whenever we are low here, when the majority of Bitcoin holders is actually in losses. Now, I think this chart is more useful to time the bottoms, not necessarily to time the tops, because again, a positive trend can reinforce itself for quite a while, right? When Bitcoin rises to new all-time highs, the message spreads. Traditional media talks about this. YouTube shows more crypto videos because more people click on those videos. And so a positive trend can reinforce itself. A negative trend, though, doesn't reinforce itself that much. It stops at a degree once attention is at 0 and there's only the dollar cost averages left that then create a floor in the price. So this chart is great for buying. It's not so great for timing the selling. And it doesn't mean it's a bad idea to get into Bitcoin now, but it's definitely not as good of an idea compared to, say, the end of 2022 over here. Alternatively, over here during the Corona crash, or here during the final capitulation when Bitcoin went from 20K to 3.5K here roughly. Let's have a look at that long-term accumulation across different wallet sizes. Let's start off with the whales. This is the number of Bitcoin addresses that hold at least 10 million worth of Bitcoin. That's currently 7,500 wallets. This is growing from cycle to cycle, but it's not yet at all-time highs. Let's look at the number of wallets that hold at least 100K worth of Bitcoin. This is getting closer to the all-time highs, right? This growth is a bit more steady. This is the number of Bitcoin addresses with $10,000. This is now at an all-time high. And here the same graph for the small retail, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. A very steadily growing chart. What does this tell us? It tells us that Bitcoin gets spread among more and more people and that it becomes more and more the people's money. It's not anymore just the whales that dictate the price movement. And I like this a lot because it will make Bitcoin a better savings vehicle. The volatility of Bitcoin will go down as the ownership is spread among more and more people, right? When Bitcoin is in the hands of just a few people, then just one big person, one person with a lot of holdings has to change their mind, dump on the market, and the market crashes. But if many people hold Bitcoin, then it reaches a real momentum shift for the price to go down. And as we can see in the charts, more and more people hold Bitcoin for the long term. Bitcoin is now a savings vehicle, not a vehicle for speculation anymore. Will it become a vehicle for payment? Maybe, who knows? This is the Lightning Network capacity measured in Bitcoin, so completely independent of the US dollar value. And yes, there was some growth, but we are pretty much flatlining now for a year. So the price of Bitcoin is recovering because people are saving in Bitcoin, not because people are using Bitcoin for payment. If it's your first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. There's also a free Telegram. Link is down below.